Hey, we're the Flick Chicks. I'm Anne.
And I'm Monica.
And this is the episode where revenge is a dish best served cold. Is it hot or is it cold?
I think it's
cold.
Cold? I don't know, actually.
Honestly, I don't know.
I think
why
it's
they
cold.
would,
I
think it's cold, but why not hot? You know, like fire.
I don't know what that saying means.
Yeah,
I don't know what the origin of that saying is.
Me neither. Well, anyways, guys, we're back with classics we haven't seen. And the classic that we
great
watched,
series. I love it.
It is a good series. It's educating me, I guess, kind of,
mm-hmm.
on movies. So we watched Kill Bill, Volume 1, which I, didn't even know Volume 2 existed, which we will discuss later.
We made the realization during this that apparently you have to watch Volume 2 because it's like part of the it's like the same movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which we'll get into later.
Yes.
But we only watched Volume 1 for the purposes
did.
of this podcast.
Exactly.
So.
So we're just going to talk about, first, like we always do, we talk about why we haven't seen the movie. Then we'll go into, like, just what we liked, what we didn't. And then we guess, right, the overall Rotten Tomato score that we think was given to the movie. And and then we're all good and dandy, guys. So, Monica,
I guess first, if you don't know what Kill Bill is, for some reason, if you're like us and haven't seen it, it's a Quentin Tarantino movie from 2004, 6, one of those 2 years, 2003, something like that, starring Uma Thurman. And she stars as this lady. We don't know her name. She used to be part of like an assassin group. And then something happened. I don't think they explained what happened. But
I don't know if for you knowing that. I don't think that's in the first movie, though. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it's in the first movie. They don't really explain what happened, but something happened, and her whole assassin team like turned on her and tried to kill her, including their leader named Bill, who killed her unborn child. Apparently, it was his child.
Supposedly.
So, they basically almost beat her to death and almost killed her. So she like gets into a coma for 4 years, wakes up, and then like wants to seek revenge on all the members of the assassin. Like she has like a kill list, so she's kind of going through her list and killing everybody. But as we said before, it's like a 2-part movie, so like the first movie is only the first half of the story, so she only kills 2 people in it, I think.
3,
because she has 5 people.
3, right?
Who's the third one?
I guess she just
Oren and
I guess she just killed what I was thinking of the rapist, but no, that was not on her list. She killed 2 people.
So she's like a I don't like, they don't really explain why she's such a good fighter, but like she can literally kill people so easily. Like she's like a master of sword person or whatever. So the movie basically, this first movie is just her going through a kill list. She has 5 people on the list, I think.
Yes.
And she kills the first 2. So one of them is Oren Ishii, which is like one of the members of the assassin group, and the other one I cannot remember her name right now.
Verena something or
something like that. It's like this girl, like she was a member of the assassin group, and then right after she decided to leave and then start living a suburban life, and she has a kid, and then she goes and kills her. It's pretty crazy. In front of the child.
My goodness. Why I haven't watched this movie? Bruh, I wasn't old enough to watch this much violence, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is like a very violent movie.
And also, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know too much about Kill Bill at all. Me
neither. I did not know what the plot was until I watched it today.
I don't think it's like talked about as much as the other movies we recently did. I feel like those are
in terms of like plot. I think people just talk about like the whole fighting and everything, but I didn't even know what the plot was.
And like Uma Thurman is just like a big deal. Like I just know like as an actress, people are like really into her, and she was like a starlet, if that makes sense. Yeah, she was the it girl. Yeah, that's all I knew, but I had no idea about it. I didn't even know Lucy Liu was in it. She's gorgeous all the time.
Me neither.
But
I thought, because when I think of Lucy Liu in action movies, I think of Charlie's Angels.
That's it.
But
I was like, hey?
But I haven't seen it, I think, because like I've said before, action movies were never really my thing. Especially ones where it's just like pure action, like The Matrix. I was more surprised that I haven't seen, because it's like kind of like action with a little bit of plot, like a little bit of world building, that kind of thing. But this one's literally just like straight up action. Like it's just like an action movie. Yeah, and those aren't really my thing, so I just never really did it. And I actually did not know this was a Tarantino movie. Like Quentin Tarantino, I did not know he directed
I saw
this.
his name and I was like, yes, like I remembered that. For
like I wasn't shocked, but I was like, oh, I didn't know he directed this. Like I thought it was just like one of those random action directors.
I think I remember that part because that's one of the reasons it was so like popular. As in,
I see, because I've honestly, I think this is the first Tarantino movie I've ever actually watched like the whole way through.
Really?
I think so, because like the only other Tarantino
you didn't watch Batman?
No.
Or am I? Did he do that? Wait.
No, isn't that
that's Christian Bale.
Christopher Nolan.
Nolan. Oh my gosh.
Christian Bale is the guy who plays.
it. But Christian Bale also does movies. He does a lot of movies. Jeez.
Like direction?
All these white men. Yeah.
Wait, like he direct Christian Bale? Are you sure?
Christian Bale, I'm telling you. Okay, we're gonna do some fact checks here. Okay, guys.
I didn't know Christian Bale was a director.
Christian Bale, director. He's 100% a director. Are you
sure?
Yes. Okay.
No, he's not.
Yes.
What are you talking about? I
swear he is, or he's like a producer. Not. He's like
he's just an actor.
No.
Girl, Google is telling me that he's just an actor. His Wikipedia page says he's an English actor. I think you're mixing up the white men.
All the white men get me.
I think you're mixing up Christopher Nolan with Christian Bale.
Jeez, I swear Christian Bale.
No, he's just an actor. No, okay. Anyways, Quentin Tarantino. Okay, let me look up his movies because I do not think I've seen a Tarantino movie. Hold on, like I know of them, obviously.
Yes.
He hasn't done that many, so let me see. Reservoir Dogs, no. True Romance, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill, Sin City, Inglourious Bastards, Django Unchained, Hateful Eight, Once Upon. No, I've never seen a Tarantino movie actually. This is my first one.
Let me see.
Never watched any of his movies.
No, so, yeah,
because I know he's only done like 10. Like he's only directed like 10 or something like that. So
all the white men are the same in my mind, and it's a problem, but it is.
So I'm not actually familiar with like his style at all or anything like that. So it was pretty interesting, and we'll move into that once we get into what we liked and didn't like about the movie. But yeah, no, I just haven't watched it because action movies were never really my thing, and I knew this one was like a martial arts type of movie. So
they're still not my thing. I think.
Yeah, I get kind of bored a little bit.
I think action scenes are so boring when they don't have dialogue. Like I'm like, okay, like
yeah.
Like if it's longer than like 2 minutes, bruh.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, wrap it up. Like,
kill and I mean like 2 minutes without talking. If you're talking in it, I'm totally cool with it because it's usually like I know a lot of people get on people for that, but I like it. Like the whole fighting and like someone's talking and like revealing and people are like, oh, people don't talk, and I'm like, shut up, would you prefer that it's just like, fighting?
I feel like action movies in general, like action scenes most of the time are so unrealistic.
Yes,
I think that's why I don't like, because I'm just watching it, I'm like, okay, like I know it's a movie, it's not supposed to be real, but I'm like, I just can't help but sit there and be like, that would never happen. Like
exactly. So then I'm like
that is not how fighting works.
If you add dialogue, then I'm like, okay, theatrics, like it's a movie. So you're like, sword fight, and they're like, how dare you? And they're like, freaking, that's nice. Some elements. But if it's literally just them sword fighting, like literally, it's like the ends to a means, and I just want it to get to the end. Like it's like, okay, they're fighting and someone's gonna die, and I'm pretty sure I know who it is. I don't really need to see too much about how that's getting there. Oh gosh.
But so that's pretty much it. So yeah, I guess we can just talk about what we liked and didn't like. I can't speak right now. What we liked and didn't like about Kill Bill Volume 1. Do you want to go first?
I'll start with what I liked because I think, spoiler, it's gonna be pretty small.
Oh, okay.
No offense. One, I like the cinematography / visuals. I thought it was really cool how they switched from different types of visuals. They weren't.
I like how there was that anime sequence. I think that
was great. I liked.
It was cool, but I feel like that scene. I mean, we'll get into it later. Actually, I'll talk about it later.
And I thought I liked that. Also, it was like gory, but for some reason I didn't find it like an unnecessary amount of gore, which is funny because it was very violent. But like the whole like cutting off the head and like I guess because the blood was so fake and exaggerated that I almost took it as artistic in the way. Like it was more for the art than it was like, oh, like someone's getting hurt, because
like it purposely they didn't look like they were actually, like it didn't look realistic.
Exactly. Like they weren't trying to,
but I think that was on purpose.
Yes. And I preferred that. It was more like, it was more like it felt like I was reading a comic book as a movie.
Yeah,
that made sense. Yeah, so it's like it's not about the violence really. Like obviously it's there, but it's more about the action that is occurring. So that I liked. I like the yellow. I just like yellow.
Yeah, yellow's a good color on
it.
On
is
her.
a good color. Yeah, good for her. What is the yellow-haired assassin?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. Because I'm gonna be honest. Because I didn't know Volume 2 was a thing, and you needed to know it. A lot of my critiques are for like it as a standalone movie, and as we'll see
I think it's only fair to think of it as a standalone movie, especially since the second one came out like a year later or something. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like a double feature type thing, so it's like you have to assume at first that it's going to be its only movie, right? Like,
exactly.
Anyways, but no, what I liked about it, I also like the visuals, I guess, like the in some cases, like I liked the cinematography, like I liked the inclusion of the anime scene, and like just I liked how they switched from black and white sometimes, like they kind of just went into black and white, and
and when they turned off the lights, that was pretty
cute. And I liked everything that I like also has like a disclaimer to it, you know what I mean? Like everything that I like has like an asterisk and be like, well, except for this part, blah blah blah. But I kind of also like the just kind of absurdity of it. Like it wasn't it was like towing the line between like melodramatic.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was.
You know, so like in some parts it just like was like super ridiculous and like so I like sometimes when it kind of towed that line, but like I said, everything I liked kind of has an asterisk to it, and there's something I didn't like about it too. Okay. So
yeah, for sure.
But,
okay, well,
is
that
Uma Thurman was good in the movie, I think too. She was a good actress. You know,
Uma Thurman,
she did her job. Yeah,
she did. Her action sequences, that's a lot. Like she really did carry all the action scenes. If you really think about
pretty
it,
much,
it's a lot of
fighting
weight on your as an actress. Okay. Things we didn't. I'll say the first thing. I think that was the first thing that was bothering me throughout the whole movie. Was this is just, as a lover of anti-heroes, I feel like this is a little bit of a lesson of what not to do. Okay.
Do you consider her an anti-hero?
I don't even know what I consider her because of this exact reason here. Okay. Yeah. I think like because she is our protagonist, you automatically kind of are supposed to be on her side. That's the idea usually. Not saying that protagonists are always like the right person to root for, but like they usually want you to root for this person, right? Yeah. You can't make me root for someone after I witnessed them kill someone in front of a child in the first scene. Like I don't know her like that at all. Yeah. And you're giving
that was weird. I didn't like that.
Her the most cruel like death first, because you could have given me the Lucy Liu's characters, Oren Ishii, because Oren Ishii isn't a good person. Like it's very clear. You're like, she is. So if you kill her first, I'm like, okay, and work your way up so that we can learn more about her story, so I can see how she could be pushed to that point. But it's like her whole like, you killed my baby and me. Like, yes, very bad. Very messed up, of course. But I didn't see that happen. I saw you kill a lady in front of her child. Like, that's what I saw.
That was like, I don't know. Like, putting that at the beginning of the movie was weird because it's like, also, I don't know what the point was by having, because on her list, Oren was first. Was first on the list, and then it was the other girl. I feel like her name is Linda, but I feel like that's wrong.
She had two names, so that was her fake name was probably Linda, and then she had her real name, which was like Veronica or something, or Veronia.
Something like that. Anyways, but yeah. So I don't know why they didn't just put the other girl on the list first, because like it was so stupid. Like she killed that lady first, and then it went back in time, and then she killed to when she killed. Because when she killed the second lady, what?
Vernita Green.
Renita, yeah. So she killed Renita in the beginning of the movie, but it was actually her second person on the list, and then after she killed Renita, they showed the list, and Oren was already crossed out. Vernita. And then Oren was already crossed out, and then they went back to when she killed Oren. I'm like, what was the point of that? You could have just put Verena, whatever her name is, first on the list, and then Oren. Like, there was no point to that like little switch. Like, I think they just wanted to be like, ooh, it's non-linear, but it's like there was no point to that at all.
If not no point, it was even worse. Like, I feel like it made it worse for the character, because I'm like,
yeah,
I could see where you would want to, like, some people just start stuff and you want to be like, okay, like you said, oh, it's for artistic reasons, non-linear, whatever.
Yeah.
But that part makes it even less she's like less sympathetic as a character. Like, you started with her in a vulnerable position, and then you show her doing something just as bad, I would say.
Like, usually I commend non-linear telling. Like, I like non-linear telling. I think it's interesting, but I think in this case it would have benefited more from being linear. Like, if I had seen the whole thing in the hospital first, like if I had seen her what she had to go through first in the hospital, and then went to go kill that lady in front of her child, maybe I wouldn't have been as annoyed by it, because I would have been like, you know what, she's starting her rampage, cool, and then you go kill Oren, makes sense. But like, I think they messed up with the non-linear thing, because it was awkward, like the way it was told.
Yeah, it was. There were some scenes that could have been, like, they could have still made it non-linear, but there were scenes that needed to be there first, like her waking up in the hospital.
Yeah,
that should have been there before her going to, like, they could have done a flashback too. That would have been a really good thing, like her being like, I don't know, I'm not trying to change movies, but like if she's like, oh, like you might be wondering why I'm in front of this house, something like that, like that's a simple
I just think like the pacing was very like weird. Like, in case you haven't watched the movie, basically the way it goes is like there's this like 2-minute scene in the beginning where she has just been like beat up by the whole assassin squad, and like Bill whatever shoots her in the head. That's like the very first scene. And then it jumps to when she shows up at what's her name, Vernita. It jumps to Vernita's house, and we have like a 5-10 minute scene where she fights her, blah blah blah, kills her, and then we go back to the hospital when she wakes up. And then there's like a long scene where it's like she's in the hospital, and then like she almost gets raped, and then she kills people and then drives away, whatever. And then we jump back, not back, like forward again to like before she kills Vernita, but after the hospital. And then there's like the whole rest of the movie is like her about to kill Oren, which like it's awkward, because the Vernita scene is like pretty short. Like she doesn't get any backstory, nothing. But then we get like an entire freaking like hour of backstory for Oren and whatever. So I'm like, what was the point of putting Vernita first? Like, if she's second on the list, you know what I mean? Because her list goes Oren, then Vernita. But then they showed Vernita's death first. I'm like, why didn't you just put Vernita first on the list instead?
And I agree with you that
it makes more sense. You know, like, what's the point?
Exactly. And also, you pointed that out. They spent 0 time on her backstory.
Yeah, and I didn't understand why.
That's like really important.
Yeah, and that was one of the things.
Now I feel like you're just a bad person because you killed someone who changed their ways. And I know it's like, like you can't just erase the past, of course. But like, it's like no redemption for this person, because she seems like a okay person to me, because I don't know anything about her.
Yeah, and like that's what the other thing I was gonna say about what I didn't like about the movie is that like some of the scenes. And this made me even more mad when I found out that like you have to watch volume 2, is that like you could have fit everything into one movie. Like some of the scenes were just so dragged out.
Yes. Like
to tell, like it took so long to tell one thing. Like in particular, Oren's like backstory. So I'm thinking of 2 scenes in particular. So like I said before, everything I liked had an asterisk. So I liked the anime scene, but it was so dragged out. I was like, okay, like hurry up, like I get it. Like literally the whole, it was like a 5-minute or I don't know how long the anime scene was, but it was pretty long. It all was just to tell us that her parents died in front of her. Like it was so long for no reason, even though it was like a really beautiful, like it was really beautifully drawn and stuff like that. But I'm like, okay, I get it, like just get to the point, you know what I mean?
Especially they shouldn't have spoiled that her parents got killed. They should have just said, like, especially if you're gonna have a scene that's animated that long, like you could be like something, because ever since she was 9, that's what it is. That's when she turned into whatever, and they should have had the narration throughout the scene so that it could have been shorter.
I agree. I think that's what it is, because we go into the anime scene knowing what's gonna happen. She says, and then her first experience with death was at 9 when her parents died. Here's a 10-minute long scene showing that, and it's like, okay, I already know her parents are gonna die. Why do I need to watch the super long, like it was just very dragged out scene
it was too
of like Oren's backstory, and I'm like, you just ruined the anime scene for me, because I'm like, I was just like, okay, hurry up. And then also another scene that was super long for no reason was the scene at the table where she cuts that guy's head off, like where Oren cuts that guy's head off. What was the point of that? Literally the whole, and the same thing again where it goes into the scene, like, so basically this is what's her name, the main character lady, she's like narrating Oren's backstory, right? That whole backstory was too long, first of all. Like, it was long for no reason. And the whole thing about Oren is like she became the leader of the Yakuza, whatever it's called, the Yakuza, which is the Tokyo mob, whatever. She became a mob boss, pretty much, like the leader of it. And there was an entire scene just to explain that Oren doesn't like it when people bring up the fact that she's half Chinese, half Japanese. That's it.
Yeah.
Literally the whole scene, that was the point. So she goes into the scene's about to start, and she says, oh, and this is how she, or if you're wondering how an American, Japanese, Chinese lady became the leader of the Yakuza, here is why. And then there's this long scene where they're at a table with all the other mob bosses, and then this one guy is like, oh, I don't like it, she's Chinese and Japanese, and then she cuts his head off, and it's like, I'm like, okay, what was the point of showing me that entire scene?
I don't know, that one was less useless to me.
It's not that I don't think the scene should have been deleted, but it was just long for
the drag on. Sorry, the most dragged on scene, other than I think one other scene for me, was more like because at least that one, I don't know, I just, for some reason, I really enjoyed her walking.
Which one?
The part where she walks on the table.
I liked the scene. I didn't. Yeah, I know what you're saying. But I just think it was long. It was just like long for no reason, you know.
But I think the hospital scene was dragged on. The one where, sorry, let me be more specific. Where, what's her face? Uma Thurman is in that coma, and nurse pirate lady comes and tries to kill her.
Oh yeah.
That I was like, why? Like, it was literally like la 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 la, taking some stuff, and like they showed Uma Thurman who was doing nothing,
just
like,
lying there.
Yes, I was like expecting her eye to open or something. I'm like, why are you paralleling?
Like, they did all of that only for her to not kill her because Bill called and said, "Nah, don't do it anymore." And I was like, okay, what was the point of showing me all of that?
And then it was literally like not even like, hey, mission's off, and she's like, ugh, and then she could have left, right? Like, that would have been, no, it was like, you know why? And she's like, why? And he's like, you know why? And she's looking at the window. I really thought she was gonna get shot, because I was like, why are we watching this for so long?
I was just, that's what I'm saying, like, there's just a couple scenes I feel like were unnecessarily long for no reason. But in general, I just found it weird that, like, in the first volume they only showed 2 deaths, and one of them had like an exceptionally longer backstory than the other one for no reason. I was like, what was the point of having Oren have this like, if you're gonna do it, at least give everyone a long backstory, make it all even. But like, it just was awkward having like no backstory, no context whatsoever for Vernita's death, and then you get like the entire second hour of the movie is just based on Oren, and I'm like, but you're not showing me why Oren is more special. Like, did Oren, because they didn't even say, like, because whenever, like, they kind of showed a little bit of flashbacks of like when Uma Thurman's character was getting like beat up, but it's not like Oren did most of the work, or like they didn't show like, oh, the reason she did all of this for Oren was because Oren was the main one beating her. Like, they were all beating her up, so I'm like what did Oren deserve to get all this backstory? I'm really confused,
because like if Oren was like maybe the one who like had lied on her or something, or said something, or made a rumor about her, and then I would understand that. And then if like the other girl, Vernita, was just like an accomplice,
but they didn't show that at all. No. So I was like, what is the point of getting this entire backstory and the whole scene? Like I know the most famous scene, I guess, of this movie is like when Uma Thurman is fighting all the Yakuza people. Yeah, like, she literally kills like 100 freaking people. Yeah, just to get to Oren, which again is why I'm like, why? Like, show me why she's going through all this trouble to kill Oren. Like,
see, you know what they should have done to make that more like the stakes higher for me, where I would have been like justified, is if they showed how cruel Oren's reign was on like Japan, because she's a mob boss, maybe, right?
Because they didn't even show her she only showed her killing other mob boss people, not anyone innocent.
If you showed how like she controls everything, and like how she's like, I'm not here to like free Japan, I'm here for my revenge, but if I free Japan at the same time, like, good on that. Like, that would have made me feel like, oh yeah, like,
they just mentioned during the anime scene that she was responsible for the killing of 9 people, but like that was before she was the mob boss, so I'm like, okay.
And they were probably like all politician people, like that's not relating to like the audience. Like, I'm like, that assassin world is completely different. If you're showing me mob people taking advantage of like civilians, then I'm like, oh, this
is why she's going through all this trouble to kill Oren. Exactly. But it's like, yeah, I don't know.
And why so many people would be on Oren's side? Like, I'm kind of like, okay, like, where's these people?
I don't know.
Yeah, like, why that little girl was so gung-ho on her, don't understand. Like,
yeah, see, I was gonna get that too, where it's like, in general, in the movie, another thing I didn't like was just like, it was just a little too over the top. Like, I know before, like I said, I liked how sometimes it was over the top, but then in some parts, I was like, this is just, now it's just like getting ridiculous. You know what I mean? And it's like, you're left to the artistic part of it, and now it's just weird. Like, this, Oren had a 17-year-old bodyguard who says like 3 words and is like a killing machine for some reason. And I'm like, okay, like, what is the point of this? And then like, I don't know. And then there's that other, like,
her friend.
Nope. Yeah, like the whole bar, I don't know, there was just a lot of things happening, and I'm like, none of this makes sense. Like, I don't know, like, I think the thing is, I think if you're gonna go for like the ridiculous, like the absurd, you have to just go for it. You can't teeter the line, because then you don't know if this is like on purpose or not. You don't know if they're being ridiculous on purpose or if this is just ridiculous, you know, because some of the parts just like didn't make sense. Because first of all, okay, this is a couple problems I had, because I remember I was watching this with my brother who loves this movie, and every time I would ask a question, I'm like, okay, but how does this make sense when this happened? He's like, that's just the Tarantino rules. Like, he just has rules in his. I'm like, these Tarantino rules make no sense. Like, it's stupid. What? So like, in the hospital, so this is like back in the hospital scene, she kills the guy who tries to rape her, right? Yes. How does she kill him fast like that? She pulled out, like, she like bit his tongue and his lip off, right?
No, but she didn't kill him fast. She killed him in 20 minutes because he said, I'll be back in 20 minutes.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Yeah. You know, that's fine. You know, she pulled out his tongue or whatever, and then he bled out to death, we're assuming, right?
Yeah. That part, I don't know how she killed him.
I'm still confused as to how he died, but
the time checks out, but I don't get
this is basically what happened. Yeah. So if you don't know, like, in the hospital scene, the guy's about to rape her, and then she like wakes up, and then like, well, she was already awake, and then like bites his like tongue.
He tries to rape her supposedly unconscious body. That's what.
Yeah. And then she kills him by like biting his tongue and pulling out his tongue with her teeth or something like that. And then like not even like less than 20 minutes later, the other guy comes back, and the guy's already dead. He just has like blood. So like, we're assuming, I guess, that he bled out or whatever. Sure, fine, whatever. And then we move to Japan when Miss whatever her name is, I don't know, Lucy, who's that girl's name? No, Oren's friend or whatever.
That was her name. Or Laura.
Whatever. Gets her arm cut off. And then in the meantime, whatever, Uma Thurman has time to kill 100 freaking people, do all this thing for like a 15, 25 minute long fight scene. And you mean to tell me Laura's still alive?
Yeah, no.
Has she not bled out yet? Yeah, she's literally just sitting there. Yeah. So you're telling me,
or she would have been passed out at least, like,
her blood was spurting out of her arm wound. If you like, literally, I've watched Soul Surfer. I know if your arm gets cut off, you gotta act quick or else you're dying, right?
Oh,
but the other guy died in like 20 minutes just by getting his lip ripped out. Like,
she killed some of these bodyguard whatever guys with less than she did.
Foot. Like, what?
Yeah, less than what she did to what's homegirl. So I'm like,
that's why I'm so confused.
I was confused. I thought she was dead. I thought she was dead like the whole time.
Well, yeah, because it's like if you cut someone's arm off like at the shoulder, we're talking like at the shoulder, blood is spurting out of her torso. You would assume she would die. Yes. Like, you die pretty quickly. Those are major arteries. Like, it takes like 5 or 10 minutes, I think, to bleed out, and then you die. But then you mean to tell me she's alive after that huge, long fight scene? And she survives in the end. Like, she doesn't die at the end. I'm like, how does that even make sense? But then these guys, mob guys, that all she did was slice their foot off, are dead, lying on the ground.
Some of them,
like,
literally, she only sliced their stomach, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, but these rules, I'm like, I get it's supposed to be ridiculous, but now these rules aren't making any sense. Yeah. Because it's like, how like the rules of who can die and who can't die doesn't make sense. And then that's why, like, also I get it, it's like this epic fight scene, it's like one person against 100 mob people, but there's no way in freaking hell that one person can beat 100 different mob. Like, it's the perfect example of, like, you know, when it's like one person against a bunch of people fighting, and it's like it seems like they're each taking their turn to fight.
Yes,
like, if you all attacked at the same time,
I'm like, y'all win, bruh.
So it didn't make
this
any
one
sense,
though.
Like,
he did. It was still dumb. Like, it would never happen. But it was not the worst one-on-one fight thing, because like.
One-on-one.
One versus thousands.
Oh no, it's definitely not the worst I've seen. Like, they all seem to be moving at some point.
She did do a lot of like backward stuff.
Oh yeah,
like, where people
I
were
get
coming
that.
at her, because I've seen some like ridiculous ones like today. Like you could get some Avengers movies literally
It's
where
not the worst,
each monster is coming one by one, and I'm like, but why?
No, it's definitely not the worst, but it's still like
but I agree with you. It's definitely
still unrealistic, and that's one personal preference I have with action movies. I hate when it's like 1v anything more than 2, and it seems like everyone's just taking their, like if you have 100 people running at you at once, all they have to do is all 100 of them run with their swords out and just stab you. Like there's no way you can escape that.
One of them will get you.
At least one of them is gonna get you. So I'm like, okay,
that's why I prefer like the like more recent depictions of, I guess, action stuff sequences. Like for example, I'm gonna say it's not a movie, but Game of Thrones, right? The part where I know John should have also technically died. A lot of movie magic helps him too, but still I think they do a better job at being realistic on how it feels to be in, like, remember that war scene with Ramsay Bolton? That's the one where I'm really thinking of, where he was in the middle and he was getting like trampled and he was like
exactly.
Bruh, that's what happens when you have that many
people. Exactly.
And he had an army too, so he wasn't being ridiculous.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. And also in the very first season of Game of Thrones, when Ned like the whole council like turns on him, like he loses. Like you can't win that. You know what I mean? When everyone and even the sword fighting master guy got overtaken by the guards, because there was more than of them than there were of him. Like it just makes sense.
Exactly.
So that's why I was like, okay, I know this is unrealistic, and I'm watching it by this, but it's a Tarantino movie. Like it's not supposed to be realistic. It's like its own thing, and I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, I'm just like, it's not my thing. I don't really like that, and coupled with the dragged out scenes, I was like, it didn't feel like a big climax at the end, because I feel like this movie could have been way more fast paced. I think, like, and stayed artistic.
But this is my biggest problem, and I'm still gonna go back to that scene. You can't kill a mother in front of her child and try to convince me that this is a surrealism type of movie, because that's too dark, too real, too into like revenge is everything, versus like this whole, I'm gonna fight 100 people. Like the whole I'm gonna fight 100 people and win is a childish concept, isn't it? Like you cannot as an adult be like, yeah, this makes sense. So how are you gonna suspend your disbelief for a scene like that, but then see her kill a mother in front of her 4-year-old child and be like, wow. Like I don't think that tone is the same with like the whole animated scene, which, like you said, asterisk, I guess, because I did really enjoy it, but it's also, it was really dark. Like it was showing how terrible,
like at the end I felt bad for Oren. I was like, oh.
Yes, like when her mom, when the blood started falling on her, you know, like through the mattress, very realistic. That is something that would happen, right? And like that's how much blood people have in their bodies. So that's like realistic, and then you're gonna go with this super unrealistic part. Like I think like what you're saying in terms of pacing, and
it's just awkward.
Was off.
That's why I'm like, the timing, like timing, pacing, whatever, tone, just didn't flow well for me. Like I think this movie could have been really good if it was like a super fast paced, like, but still you could keep the artistic nature of it, but just make it a bit more fast paced, make it a bit more fast moving. Like the Oren's backstory could have been way quicker told, like by using, because I think the anime scene would have more impact if it was shorter. I think, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Because if it's such a long
scene, the narration inside,
if it was such a long scene, it was like, okay, it's just an anime scene. But if you had like a little 2-minute anime scene, it would have been like, oh, that was so interesting. It was just like the little insert of like an anime, just her little backstory anime. But I just, the pacing, like, was they could have
literally cut it to the part dad fights like 2 guys quickly.
That was a long fight. Like they showed I didn't even know who because you don't know who's who in the animation until he dies. So I'm like, okay, what was the point of showing me fighting people if I didn't know who was fighting?
Exactly. And then the guy pierces him. You see that whole bed part. That one was very like dramatic, and it's a good idea because it's like the dad's trying to like seize the daughter, and then mom. They didn't even need to show. They could have literally put the sound effect of like, no, please, mom on the bed. Cha!
There you go.
And then you have the blood coming. That's it.
If it was just like, okay, go, like, quickly, you know. And then they maybe could have fit another person in there. I don't know. I just also want to, again, main thing I just don't like how you have to watch volume 2. I hate movies like that. Why do I have to watch the sequel?
I think that's trash.
It just seems like a money grab to me, because apparently the movie was over 4 hours.
Unless it's a
because apparently it was all filmed at once, but the movie ended up being 4 hours long. So like, let's just split into 2 movies. To me, that just seems like instead of trying to make this pacing a little bit better, let's split into 2 movies and get double the money. Like, that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
Personally, because like if it was a very fast-paced first movie, I'd been like, okay, maybe they just couldn't fit everything. But I'm clearly watching it and being like, this is very dragged out. You could have made this into one movie if you had just put a little effort. Like, if it's a long movie, fine. Like, you make one big epic 3-hour long revenge movie, cool. I'd rather that than have 2 slowly paced sequels that I have to watch.
Or like, they could have done this is what I would have done, as a the $1 million producer, if they gave me that money, or director. Put her backstory in the first movie. That's BS. Don't this whole like, oh, who is she? I need to know in the first movie. Because it's like, I don't care even if it's at the end. I should know who she is by the first movie.
Agreed.
So that I can like be like, ooh, I want to know what happens to her in the second movie.
See, that would make it a bit better if you had actually known a little bit more. Like, I get it. It's a whole like, oh, Bill, you don't even know who Bill is until the second movie. You don't even know what her name is or why she's trying to get revenge to the second movie. I don't like that. I want to at least know a little bit so that I will want to watch the second movie.
Exactly. Give me a little, because the cliffhanger of, does she know her daughter's still alive? That's enough of a cliffhanger. Yeah. Like, that's like a big deal. Like, I'm like, okay, so you don't need to cliffhang the fact that who she is. Like, I'm literally like, why did they beat up this random pregnant woman?
I still don't know.
Like, and she's like, right? And then they're like, Bill, it's your baby. So did she cheat on her man? Like, I'm confused. Child. So I'm like, you need to I think it's like, I think that's my biggest role. I need to sympathize with my character, whether it be I would prefer if I sympathize with the protagonist, because that's who I'm following the whole time. But even if I can sympathize with the antagonist, if there's one antagonist and I sympathize with them, that's okay too, because we've also followed the antagonist most of the time. Here we have Bill is technically the biggest antagonist, who we've never met. Vernita and Orenshi are technically, I guess, the antagonists, but they're more sympathetic to me than the protagonist.
I had more sympathy for them too than I had for Uma Thurman, because at least I knew a little bit about them, so I was like, okay.
And that's the problem, because they're not even the real antagonists, and I feel more bad for them than the protagonist who I've been following for the entire movie.
Yeah,
like, agreed. And that's sad, because this woman has been repeatedly raped while she's unconscious, kicked and like beat up, and supposedly tried to kill her and her child, and I still managed to feel bad for
that's why I'm like, I think you have a problem.
That's a problem.
The case. Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree.
That's a problem. And again, I'm just gonna keep going back. I think that first scene is like one of the biggest reasons, because I'm like,
it just seemed really unnecessary to me.
Yes.
Yeah,
jeez,
but I think out of the classics we've never seen, this is probably my least favorite.
Oh yeah, hands down,
because at least the other ones I watched them and thought, okay, like I get it, this is a pretty like interesting movie. But this one I was kind of just like, I don't know.
Yeah, what have we watched so far? Matrix,
Fight Club. I think that's it.
Fight Club. Oh yeah, see, Fight Club. The guy, I don't even relate to the
like Fight Club. It's not, you don't have to like it, but you can literally watch it and be like, oh, this is, I get why this is a very like talked about movie. Like there's a lot to talk about,
Like, no, but like I don't even relate to the protagonist, as in like I don't live his life, but I still was like, like I could sympathize with certain sentiments and certain parts. This one, I was like, right, like I'm technically closer to this assassin woman than the Fight Club dude. Yeah, and yet
I still don't really get how she's that good of an assassin. Where did she train? What did she learn? What happened there? And if she's that good of an assassin, why couldn't she defend herself even while pregnant? If she can beat up 100+ mob members, she can't beat 5 people while she's pregnant. I'm not buying it.
I literally was like, what? I thought like when she woke up from the hospital, I really thought she was going to Japan to get trained. Never showed. They
literally just skipped ahead. So the one time you skip ahead is to not show us the things that we want to see. Like that's why I'm like,
I'm like, how did she get this?
Because he's like, oh, you have to spend 1 month practicing, and then they're like, okay, 1 month later, didn't show her practicing, didn't show her do anything.
No.
But
no. Like, if this wasn't for the podcast, I don't think I would have finished the movie. I'm being
honestly, maybe me too. Honest, I don't think I would have.
Because I would have been like, this is too. I would probably be like, this is too long. I'm gonna read the wiki synopsis to know what happens. Yeah. Like, that's the type of thing I would have gotten.
But sorry. No. That's why I think. I mean, I don't know. I realized after this I've never watched a Tarantino movie, but now I'm like, I kind of get why, because it seems like that's the kind of thing I'm gonna get from his movie.
Quentin.
I mean, I don't know. And his movies never looked interesting to me personally, so I don't know about that.
No, I thought he made up more movies than I thought.
No, I knew.
You know me. I'd be mixing up all of them.
Yeah,
together,
I knew after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that it was like he didn't make that many movies. Like he only had like 7 or 8 or something like that. So
Once Upon a Time didn't look interesting.
No, it didn't look interesting to me either. So that's why I was like, meh. No. So yeah. Anyways, well, that's basically our thoughts on it. I guess we move on to. Do we have questions?
I think we have fun facts sometimes.
We do. Yeah, we do. Oh, we do fun facts.
Yeah, but the fun fact is that I mess up Wes Anderson, Quentin Tarantino, Christian Bale, Steven Spielberg. All of them are the same person to me.
I always mix up Christopher Nolan and Steven Spielberg. I always think they're the same person, even though I'm like a fan of Christopher Nolan's movies. So like I don't know how I keep mixing them up.
Yeah, but, I'm so sorry. It's like the Kiki meme. I'm so sorry to this man. Like I don't.
Like we walk down the street. No, like when I tell you I don't know what any of their faces look like. If I saw them walking down the street, I would not know. I would not know a thing.
I would go up to Christian Bale and I'd be like, I love that you directed.
Oh, you directed so many movies. I'd be like, excuse me. I'm not a director.
Like a real dummy.
Oh my goodness. But yeah.
Okay. So Monica, what do you think? This one is going to be the one I really have no idea what's going to be.
I don't know because people just think? Like go hard for
people
Quentin Tarantino. So like you can literally put out anything and people be like, oh my God.
I don't. It's
okay.
Not
what
fair.
Do I think it is? I think it's like a 90.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think people are just crazy for Tarantino.
I think, for me, it doesn't deserve anything higher than.
Like this is not my personal grade, but I just think this is what it has.
I know that's not your personal, but I think I'm gonna go with 83. There's no way if it's a 90.
Am I looking it up? I'll look it up.
Okay, whatever. We'll both look it up and like have our genuine reactions.
Let's see what it is. Oh, okay.
Oh, what
85.
Is it? Okay, so I was the closest with 83. Yeah. Why did I look up Kill Bill and then Zendaya comes up? Huh?
Oh, because I literally was looking. Apparently, there's Kill Bill Volume 3, which I don't know about that, but okay.
Vivica A. Fox urges Tarantino to cast Zendaya. Oh, she was the girl who played Vernita.
I see.
No, Zendaya, don't do it. I don't need this from you. We don't need it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Honey, I'm not going to guarantee. I'm a big fan. I can't guarantee you I'll watch this one.
So anyways,
okay, 85.
What I would personally give it, like a 73. I'd
give it a flat 70.
Yeah, something around there.
Honestly, that's only because of the hype. Literally, I feel like if I'm being really personal, I would never rewatch this movie. Probably not really gonna talk about it. So it's pretty low. But like in terms of just it as a movie, if I'm giving it like a final grade, 70.
I think I was just a little disappointed too because I heard a lot about this. Like some of my friends have watched this too and like have told me it's really good. So I was like, okay, really? So I was like, all right. But
I never heard about it until I guess in passing. But in terms of like, as a classic. Until we wrote down our list, like I was like, okay.
Yeah, no, I've definitely heard of. Well, like I said, my brother, my dad are pretty big action people, so I'd heard about it before. So I thought it was gonna be like amazing, but like for an action movie, like I said, action movies are my thing. But I thought it was gonna be better than it was. I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah,
I'm sorry.
I've
not been converted to action yet.
No, I have not.
I prefer the action of today where they mix all the genres together because I personally can't watch. I'm not a big fan of a singular genre, like a movie that only dabbles in one type of genre.
Yeah,
I think.
No, me too.
I usually prefer a little bit of both. Like I don't like just romance movies. I like romantic comedies, or I don't like just action. It has to be like
action something,
adventure,
action mystery, action
mystery. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
But yeah.
I mean, I guess I just had that one little fun question, but I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't even know the answer to this for myself, but all I could think of was like, if you were to compile a like kill list, who would you think would be on it? You don't have to name names, but just like you could just say like, oh, this one person that did this. Like you can just be ridiculous. Be like, this one person that cut me in front of mine. You know, like that kind of thing.
Okay, let's go with a punch list. I don't want this to be on record about who I would kill in case the police come and find me.
Okay.
So this is a punch list.
Who would you punch in the face? Yes.
Punch list. Ooh, it might get dark.
You can pick whatever you want.
I'm kidding. There is that. Okay, this is so dark. This is just a punch list, maybe a kick list. I remember I went to the theaters and I was watching Zootopia. Wonderful movie, love it. And this little kid kept kicking my seat. Oh, no. Okay, you know what I did, Monica? What? First thing I did, smack the back of my seat so he would stop, and he stopped for a minute. Then he went back to kicking. Okay, so you know what I did? I wanted to just tap my seat again, just to give him a second warning. But instead, I came into contact with his foot.
Oh no!
So I, oh my gosh! Police, don't come for me. I held on to his foot for like
you did this?
Seconds.
Oh yes! My god!
I like held on, and he was like shaking. He like moved his foot, and I just let it go, and I was like,
oh my goodness! And you're crazy.
Do I have problems? Maybe. Yes. But point is, who would I punch? Not the kid. His mom.
Yeah.
Who was sitting next to him the whole time and didn't do anything.
Oh, that's annoying. Yeah. I would do that too. That makes sense.
Punching his mom. And that's maybe number 3 on my list. I don't know if she'd be number 1. That's a little far. But I don't know what came over me. I just like, this kid needs to stop. Like,
no, I get that.
Oh my gosh. Jeez. But I would not recommend that at all. If it was in broad daylight, I don't think I would do that. It's scary and concerning. But in the dark, oh my gosh, I don't like this. It's terrible. But it's what happened, guys. So we cannot.
So the mom is number 1 on your punch list.
Yes, the mom. Jeez.
You don't have to say more than one person. You could say one person.
Yeah, I think that one person would be. Everybody else, it's like, oh, too serious. Like, oh, they said something rude to me. Like, that's rude. That's too much. This kid, though, had it coming.
Oh, I was going to say something similar to that. I was going to say, like, someone said something not rude to me, but rude about. Okay, well, basically, I can't get too specific because I don't need people. It's not like it's a thing of the past. But
yeah,
there was a point in my life where at some point I overheard someone call me gorilla arms. Oh, I didn't like that at all. And I would like to punch that person in the face very hard.
Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. Can I add another one?
Yeah, go ahead. That's why I'm like, I feel like you have something really bad that someone could deserve a punch for.
I do have a lot. There's a list.
That's why I was like, you have a list.
I do. There's one guy, you know him, but I'm not gonna say his name.
Yeah, mine was of course a guy. It was for sure a guy, and that's why it's worse.
One guy, he said he would like me if I was prettier, and I was like, I didn't. No. And I tell you, nobody asked for this answer. No, like it just came out for nowhere. No way, no how. Nobody asked, and he just said it. I was like, you vermin! Like, how dare you? There was that guy. There's also the guy who asked me, oh my gosh, okay, it's too much we're opening a can of worms. This is the last one, even though there's other people. Okay, two more.
Okay, go ahead.
One guy, he asked me what I was getting in my class. I'm not gonna say what class because we might give it away. And I was like, oh, I'm getting a 90. And he's like, oh, I'm getting an 80, whatever. Yeah. He's like, wow, that's really good because, black people don't get good grades. And I was like, we need to punch him in the face.
I need to know after we record this who said that.
That one you don't know. You don't know him. But personally. Okay. But all you need to know is he's trash. That one.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh. And last one. This is the last one. Y'all. For the people who say racism is dead, like, listen to this part.
Jesus Christ.
There was this one guy who said to me, I would like you if I was colorblind.
No.
Yes.
Who said in their right mind said that?
Yes. You know,
first of all, that's just stupid because when you're colorblind, you can still tell what's dark and what's not.
Right? I was like, you would still... You know how black and white works. Like, that's not how colorblind people see, but also still.
So he's basically just saying he would like you. Like, that's just code for I would like you if you were not black.
Yes.
Who the?
If I was Caucasian, good thing I'm not.
No, good thing
like,
you're not.
Jeez. Oh,
you don't need someone like that.
Woo, Monica, wow. I didn't know we were gonna get deep in this episode, but
that's what I was thinking. I was like, you could just like talk about people we want revenge on.
Yes, there's a bucket list. Woo! my movie would be 5 hours long.
Oh my god, literally just going through every single person. I think you would have a lot of people. Yeah.
Yes.
And I have a couple people too, but I won't get into it because the details are not pretty.
Oh yikes!
But I'm trying to think of anything more lighthearted. Anyone more
I know.
that I could punch. Oh, I know. I know someone I could punch. I would love to punch.
What?
I can't get too specific in case somebody's listening, but
okay, sure.
A teacher at my high school, that's all I'll say. A teacher at my high school I wish I could punch for dress coding me in the worst possible way, the most inappropriate way. To dress code someone. Like when you're dress coding someone, you don't have to mention body parts like that. I don't like that at all. But yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And I mean, there's also another teacher at my high school that could use a punch in the face too.
Oh my gosh.
You know who you are. You're not listening to this,
y'all,
but he knows who he is.
Y'all better watch out, okay? Police, close your ears. Those who are on the list, though, open them wide.
Open them nice and wide and sleep with one eye open.
Sound effects coming.
The sound effects.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Wow.
That's enough of that before we
get
to you
see how dark this is what this movie does to people. Oh my goodness.
Exactly.
Okay. That was a great question though. I rate it. That was very good.
I just thought we might as well go for it.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we'll call it an episode then.
Yes.
So that's it for this week's episode of Classics We Never Seen. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've even reached this point in the episode,
I know. Thank you.
Kudos to you. If you have reached the point of this episode, that means you should probably be already following us on Instagram at FlickChicksPod, of course, and subscribe to this podcast and have given us a good rating, because that means you're a fan.
It means fan, you're one of us now. You're
part of the club. So make sure you do all of that, and we'll catch you guys in 2 weeks now, because our episodes are every 2 weeks now.
Yes.
So we'll catch you guys in 2 weeks for another episode.
All right. Bye.
Bye.